Uh, do you have some hot news, or do we go?
Yeah, he's got some stuff this
Okay.
week.
No, not really. Like, I mean, I want to
just commentary on the Rumble. We'll talk about like the Rumble and stuff. Everything.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Right.
You're back with a boy from London town, Billy Body, with the hot news. Boom.
Hey, so I've got little bits and pieces. What I'm going to do is, I spoke to Glenn earlier. I want to talk about the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. I'll tell you why in a second.
Because you had a different take. You didn't like, Billy did not like the Rumble that much. So we're going to have a good discussion here. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I have got news this week, stuff about Ronda Rousey and what she actually wants to do at Mania, things they may have set up at WrestleMania, things that should have, things that got changed or whatnot at the Rumble. It's all little tidbits. So I'm going to put out one audio piece tomorrow over at thedirtysheets.com. So check that out. Otherwise, if I do it all here, there's going to be nothing on my Patreon all week. So what I prefer to do, what I don't get to usually do, is talk about the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. Now, the difference of having me here, I think, compared to the other guys, is that I'm from the UK and I go to WrestleMania. Like, I've been to like 15 WrestleManias. So this ends up costing me somewhere between, it used to cost about $3,000. Now it costs like $6,000 because the tickets have gone up and everything's gone up. So always at this time of year, I'm looking at what the card's going to be. Is it going to be worth the money? Is it not going to be worth the money? Like, for me, I've tried over the years to not concern myself so much about that, and I more or less look at the state and see what I'm going to do at the state. But I don't like California, so I really do want a good Mania. California is especially nowadays. So I would like this Mania to be as good as possible. I did want The Rock to be there.
Wait. What's about it?
What, California? Yeah. Well, particularly Hollywood, yeah, like where it's going to be, not necessarily San Jose, San Francisco, all them places. But I'm talking about Los Angeles,
right?
Yeah, Los Angeles is not a pretty town right now.
No, there was crackheads walking all over the place, like 5-6
Very
years.
dangerous, bro. Very dangerous. LA's dangerous.
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen the latest videos with the homelessness and the tents that everybody set up all over the place.
Well, not just that, bro. There's just a lot of crime right there right now. And, like a lot of, you didn't used to hear about this, but they become very brazen and they're going into baseball players and basketball players and actors and actresses' houses and doing home invasions. And, it's crazy out there.
Let me tell you, because it's funny too, because you look at like San Francisco, LA, San Diego, you go from north to south. It's like San Francisco's like the filthiest. Then you got LA is like the second, and San Diego's not. It's not as bad as LA and San Fran, right, Conan?
No,
yeah. It's kind of that's an interesting flex. So I don't know.
No, I've never been. I'm going to be in Vegas, and I'm going to be in San Francisco or wherever AEW is next month. So,
have you been to San Francisco?
I've been to San Jose, WrestleMania 31, but
Frisco's beautiful.
Me too.
Bro.
I went there for that. All right, so go ahead.
Yeah, so for me, I was really hoping for a decent Mania. Now, it looks like they've lost The Rock. Whatever the circumstances surrounding that, I don't know specifically. I think it's along the lines of. So there's two things. There's everything I outlined last week when I said he wasn't going to be on the show, and then there's also what Bruce Pritchard is telling people that. In the circle of people I talk to Bruce Pritchard, he's simply putting it out as The Rock didn't want to lose this match, and when Vince was in charge, The Rock was winning and Cody was cashing in on Vince, and now it's a different thing. That's just Bruce Pritchard talk. Like, from other people I've spoken to, they're just saying, "Oh, that's just Bruce being Bruce," and he thinks it's all wrestling related and whatnot, which other people have told me it's not. So I'm disappointed with that, but I think. Historically, from going to Mania, the worst thing that you can do is be pushing a guy in the main event when you're hot, when you've got someone getting really, really hot on the side, which looks like it's Sami Zayn. Now, historically, that hasn't worked out for them. In any WrestleMania that they've gone to, where they've had a hot act and they've tried to shoehorn another one, they've always been met with resistance. Now, I don't know if the fan base is there anymore that will give him that much resistance, but Sami Zayn is the hot act. And for me, Cody Rhodes is cold. The Royal Rumble was not well booked to put him over either. Coming in at number 30 on your comeback and winning, and everybody knowing that you were going to win as entrant after entrant came in, and you knowing that Cody's not coming yet. As soon as he came out, all of that anticipation was gone. Like, his entrance basically sucked the life out of Rumble because you were just waiting for him to win. There's no one else that could have feasibly won at that point.
I thought Dominic was going to win.
Right. Bless you. But that's not good for starters. And then obviously fast forward to Monday night, he needs Edge to help him beat the Judgment Day. Balor's about to win with a coup de grace, and then Edge comes up on the apron and Cody needs help there. This is not the booking of a number one contender and who's going to the biggest show of the year. And it's certainly not how you book somebody when you've got an act that's much hotter there. Now, I spoke to Russo today and I spoke to Cav on my podcast this week, and I want to get your guys' opinion. This on the surface, when it initially happened, seemed to me like the hottest thing that happened in decades, right? The crowd pop was ridiculously loud. In fact, like in my Porsche, I have Bose speakers, right? So when you plug those in and listen to anything in the car, it actually will end up sounding like what it sounds like being there because of the surround sound. So I listened to that in my car. I watched it with Austin in the car because he didn't watch the Rumble live. He watched it in bits and pieces during car journeys and whatnot this week, going to places. And when that moment came on, like in the car, it just sounded like the loudest thing I'd ever heard. So I thought that was a good payoff to the whole angle. And obviously that gets Sami Zayn hot. The thing that I couldn't work out is this the best thing that we've seen in decades? Or is it just a case of, when you're starving, like any food seems like it tastes good? If you haven't eaten for 2 days, like McDonald's is going to taste amazing. So I wondered if it was like that. And I debated that with Russo and I debated that with Cav this week. And I actually have landed on thinking that it was a really incredible moment, but not just because the guy turned on or was trying to get into a group and he turned on the group, because we've seen that before. We've seen guys trying to get into groups and we've seen guys turning on heel factions. I mean, you did a thing yourself where you were trying to get into the NWO. You kind of did the Sami Zayn thing, right? Mm-hmm. When you were trying to get in. But I think the level of acting and performance from all of these guys across the board. Is someone bleeping something? Does that mean?
No.
I think it's nothing over here, so.
All right. I don't think it might be me. I think the level of acting on all parts was just at such a high level throughout. I've not seen anybody bring, and I've spoken about this before. Like, the problem in wrestling is not the in-ring. Everybody's got the in-ring down now. Like, you expect all of these people that get signed from the independents, that go through NXT and whatnot. Everybody can put together a relatively decent match, right? We see good matches all the time. We're almost immune to them. But the acting side of things and the promo and the actual acting seems like something that people can't do. But the performance of everybody in this angle, like, elevated it to such a place where I think it will stand the test of time as one of the best things that we've seen for a long time. And with that said, that's going to go against Cody Rhodes because Sami's going to be the act that everybody wants to see. How can you then just blow it off at Elimination Chamber? See, what they're trying to do...
I'll cut you. Let me cut you off because I agree with everything you're saying. The thing I'm going to disagree with is, like, bro, the reason they're doing really good numbers right now, you have two good acts going on at the same time. The crowd is not turning on Cody.
No.
I was surprised at the reaction Cody got. The crowd likes Cody and they like the Sami storyline, right? You can absolutely, bro. You don't have to, like, I know that this has been built up, okay? And it's a great storyline, but this is still weekly episodic television. And we still have, this Friday, 2 weeks to the Elimination Chamber and another month or 6 weeks to WrestleMania. Okay, there's a lot of weekly segments where we don't know exactly where the story's going. Everybody's looking at this like, well, now you got to do Sami Zayn and Roman at WrestleMania. No, you don't. You can do Sami Zayn versus Roman in Montreal.
Well, you are. That's what they are doing.
That's what I'm saying. There's nothing wrong with that. I think there's nothing wrong with that, bro. You've got two straight. That pay-per-view is going to draw massive, and they're probably going to finish at the end of that match with an angle that's going to lead something huge again to lead into WrestleMania. I think everybody's selling. You're not. I think what you're doing is you're selling them short on how.
No, I'm not because I know the direction. They're basically trying to. So Jey Uso walked out at the Royal Rumble. So what they're trying to do is is that he will be involved in the match at Elimination Chamber and he will realign with the Bloodline. So what they're trying to do is
how do you know that for,
Sorry?
How do you know that for sure? What if this story turns into, bro? Because let me tell you something. The emotional investment that people had at the Sami turn, go back 3 years. It was an emotional response that people had when Jay wrestled Roman. That was a match that the acting was excellent. There was emotion. You felt like this wasn't a work. It was like, because the acting's so good, you got invested in it, right? My thing is like, we don't know exactly where the story's going, and I don't think we should know exactly where the story's going, because this could spin off into Jey Uso and Sami against Solo and Jimmy Uso, or it could spin off to Kevin Owens, bro. Because Kevin Owens turned into the insignificant character in this. He was just laid up, beat up, and everything laying out. This whole story is still the Bloodline, and now Jey Uso. I think it could be Sami Zayn and Jey Uso against Jimmy Uso and Solo. Like two guys that are friends that like have this evil family, and he has his dog with him now. You know, you could go that way with it. And I don't think there's any. I don't want to know where they're going, but I think that's where you could go. So what do you think of that?
I think I know where they're going because I was given some like matches, a week ago. But
I don't want to know though. So
right. So yeah. I feel that what they're doing is they're trying to transfer the Roman's heat onto Jey Uso. So when you come out of Montreal, you'll have the Usos versus Owens and Sami set up, and then you'll start your program with Cody. Now, you think time is their friend. I don't. This is where we're different. I don't like the Cody Rhodes, my daddy, my destiny promo, and I don't think the fans will either. We saw what happened in AEW where they were chucking his weight belt back at him, and they got sick of his pandering. To me, Cody Rhodes is disingenuous. I don't believe anything that he says. He comes across like a low-rent 2.0 John Cena wannabe, and I don't want to see him challenging for the belt, and I definitely don't want to see him winning. And I think the most important, significant thing that came out of Royal Rumble is that we think that we want Sami Zayn to win the title, right? I think a lot of people want that payoff. But I think what you would really want if to invest you into the product, what would be the most interesting thing to do is to have a year where we actually hate Roman Reigns. Because for the last 2 years, he has been a heel champion, but who really hated him when the Bloodline was the number one selling merchandise item and the number one ticket seller and the number one ratings draw for the last 2 years? Everybody actually wants to be Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns is cool as. And when they chant "F you, Roman," we could be entering a 12 months where he faces people like Sami, like Cody, like Seth Rollins, who fans think are also cool.
Let me tell you why. Let me cut you off here and tell you why I disagree on the surface of what you're saying right there.
Okay.
Bro, because it doesn't matter. Because this is the wrestling fan base is a smart mark fan base, basically, right? And when the heels are good performers, that's when they start getting cheered. Now, you're not going to go through like a year of Roman getting heat because, bro, look at Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins is doing great heel work until people started to applaud you because he's a good heel. And we respect your work as a heel, and you'll never get away from the fans doing that. And there's no way you could get a year out of Roman being a great heel because it's like the MJF stuff. You're just gonna have fans start cheering you because you're such a great heel.
See, but now I think you're selling them. You're selling Roman short because the thing is that as much as I don't think that obviously Brock is a strong opponent, but I feel like Drew McIntyre hasn't been booked very well since he lost the world title, and I don't think he was like strong enough. Even going into the UK, I felt like that was a 50-50 split. I don't think Roman's opponents. Yes, they're good wrestlers and they're top superstars and they're good, viable number one contenders, but there's been no emotional storyline. Now you could have an entire year of emotion. Sami Zayn is emotional. Cody fulfilling his father's destiny and failing. That's emotional. Randy Orton having a big comeback after a year out and losing. That's emotional. Seth Rollins, Shield versus Shield, like that, that match that they haven't paid off. And then he loses. That's emotional. Like the emotion of the next 4 feuds is much higher than all of the things that have come before it over the last 2 years, especially when we might now hate Roman.
Well, then why would you want to beat Sami Zayn beat him at WrestleMania too then?
I don't, but that's what
I'm saying. So like that's the only problem with your idea. Like
no.
Because if your other thing is like him and Sammy, and then Sammy would have to go over. You know?
No, I'm saying that's what fans think that they want. But I think as far as a WrestleMania main event goes, obviously you've lost The Rock. That's the match that you want. But Sami Zayn is the hotter act going into WrestleMania. And when you have that traveling fan base, look, me coming from the UK, people coming from Australia and all over the world, it's a hardcore fan base that want to get the hot star versus the hot star in the main event. Like Sami Zayn being on a tag match in night one, whether it main events or not, isn't going to be fulfilling for people. And as I said, the biggest prediction I have is if Cody Rhodes continues to go down these 20-minute monologues where he's pretending to cry, that's not going to work. I don't like it. A lot of people don't like it.
I would agree with you, but the crowd, when the crowd starts turning on him, I'll agree with you. But as long as he's doing this cheesy baby face and the crowd's popping for it, I'm like, I still think this. You know what I think? Maybe I think this might be. I think this WWE fan base, this is a possibility, man, I may be wrong, is because of the toxicity that exists now with the AEW fans. And, when the AEW came along, there was a wrestling war, and, the AEW fans are at war with the WWE fans and stuff. I just think that the WWE fans kind of look at this as like, okay, we stole Cody back from you, so we are just going to be 100% behind this guy. Because the issue isn't, the story isn't like so much Cody. It's AEW versus WWE still with that fan base.
Right. And I think DI, if Cody was around all of last year, then maybe he would have a little more pushback from the crowd. But since he was out hurt, he's still fresh.
Right.
He's still very, very fresh.
He's coming back from an injury. That's
he only was able to have
what are you going to heal on a guy that just came back from a pec tear?
Right.
It's like I don't know. Bro, I would agree with a lot of what you're saying. However, I'm listening to the people, and it's like the people aren't turning on him yet. And actually, he's getting a really good reaction. And I'm like, okay, that's because the show is strong. But if they have a couple bad weeks of TV, he does something flat. It could happen. But like, I'm not. If you're giving predictions of where you think this might go, and it might go that way, you may be right. But right now, it's like there's Cody's hot and Sammy's hot. The show is hot. The audience almost increased by 20% in like the past like month.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Let's put yourself in my shoes, who's traveling there, and in the shoes of a lot of other people. By
the way, real quick, Conan got called by his boss. He's on a freaking call right now, so it's like whatever. So we got to fill time. So it's like keep going.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, right? So there was a lot of rumors about who Roman would face and who would win the Rumble. Austin's name was mentioned as a replacement for The Rock. Now, with all of these names mentioned, and with Sami Zayn being the hot act, I want you to tell me, as a fan, ranking them numbers 1 to 4, The Rock, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Sami Zayn, and Cody Rhodes. Where would you rank Cody Rhodes as the opponent that you want to see Roman Reigns face at WrestleMania? Honestly. And Joe, you do it too.
So 3.
You'd rank who?
I still don't. Let me. And this is you're probably going to disagree with me on this, right? And there's two factors here. Number one, the reason that like you said, WrestleMania is underwhelming this year. You're wondering whether you should spend the money to go to WrestleMania and go see. You don't want to see Cody Rhodes against Roman. Like you don't think that's worth the trip, correct?
I'm going anyway, but I start.
Okay, but that's my point.
But I start to wonder, yeah.
Before all this gestated, before they announced any main event or anything, before any of this happened, bro, they sold 70,000 tickets. Like it's like it's like, so they're like, this is the way WWE has operated from the get-go. Their weekly television has been relatively underwhelming. Okay, and like with the exception of the Bloodline, which has been incredible weekly TV, but the rest of the stuff is, if you want to grade it, it's still typical WWE stuff, right? But when you look at like the company, the way they're operating, and they look at their weekly TV, me and Russo say this all the time. The weekly television is the only metric that they're doing underwhelming in. Everything else they're making money, which is why the weekly television doesn't really seem to be more of a priority to them, because it's not as good as it used to be years ago, and stuff and things. So my thing is like they've got the 70,000 tickets sold. The WrestleMania brand, I've always said this too. The WrestleMania brand is stronger than the WWE brand, because WWE had a weekly television thing, like they could do bad numbers, they have record low rating stuff. But every time WrestleMania comes around, it's like, wow, this is.
But let me tell you who sold out WrestleMania. It was The Rock. The Rock sold out WrestleMania. on the rumor.
Maybe. So you think they're going to boo Cody?
I think if Cody continues to go down this route of these promos about his dad and his destiny and everything, it's very quick. I think when you see in 4 weeks' time, when you see after the night after Elimination Chamber and it's Cody versus Roman and you see them go face to face, I think you'll see a mixed reaction straight away. And as we head towards WrestleMania, people will start to favor Roman Reigns, unless Roman Reigns is going to have to go and dig up Dusty's grave to make them cheer Cody Rhodes.
That's not bad.
Hey?
Yeah,
I
agree.
I mean,
here's my thing. I don't think anybody's going to be disappointed. And like, if you're disappointed that Roman versus Sami isn't taking at WrestleMania, if like that's as opposed to when it's fresh and hot within 2 weeks at what you call this is fresh.
No, but
and they're going and they're hitting with the irons hot. We're going with Roman and Sami in Montreal.
That's not exactly what I'm saying. What I'm saying to you is it doesn't help because you talked about Stone Cold Steve Austin. You talked about The Rock and Roman for a year. Then Sami got hot. For me, everything conspires against Cody because the last thing that you need is two legends being mentioned by the dirt sheets as being the opponent, The Rock for a long time, and then another wrestler gets hotter than you at the same time. It's not a case of Sami's a better choice than Cody or whatnot. It's a case of if Cody Rhodes was manifesting this in his own mind, he would want to be somebody that the fans are desperate to see. Nobody is desperate to see him win. Like, he hasn't been on television. He wasn't on television during that time. He's come back. And the thing is, you're not helping him with the booking. Like number 30, something's very odd about this. Like the number 30 thing, unless Triple H, I don't think Triple H is a stupid guy. And I don't know how he doesn't see how that doesn't help him. It doesn't help.
I thought that too, Billy. When I was like, why they haven't come out at 30? I did think that too.
Because they wanted a pop at number 30.
Yeah.
Who else could you brought out to get? Bro, look at all the guys in that match. The only guy would be a pop would be the one guy that hasn't been on TV in a while. Like, and you're investing in everything. That's why I think they didn't. Why
didn't you do the Brock Lesnar thing at the end? If Brock Lesnar was number 30 and he just done the quick 3-minute thing with Lashley, or that would have been fine.
I could agree with that, but I'm just thinking. I'm just going by their philosophy. Like I know if you want to pop at number 30, there's only two guys you could use, Brock and him. And I guess they wanted Brock in this, but Brock is not in the main event focus.
What about Logan Paul? What
did you think about Logan Paul in that match, by the way?
Awesome.
Yeah, now he's got Seth. So
they're gonna kill it.
We had a discussion. Let me ask you this: we had a discussion about this.
And also, just one thing: they've convinced him to work heel for 6 weeks now, for leading up to that. So
perfect. Well, let me tell you this: we had a discussion, okay, and I don't think Conan, and Joe kind of really understand how big of a deal Logan Paul is.
No, I do.
Because like you said, Billy, did you say you went to the show? Wait, was it a show that you went to, Joe, with all the girls in the crowd?
No, I was going to say maybe I don't know how big he is worldwide, but seeing him perform at a stadium show and all the chicks that were there cheering for him and holding up signs and stuff in Nashville. Well, Billy was there too. He knows.
Yeah. Okay, so here's my point. There's 2 nights of WrestleMania. All right, and they're going to have to because they're still invested in it. They're probably going to put one of the female matches on as the main event on one of the nights, right? Which is because that's just what they have to do now because of diversity, equity, inclusion, and the women's revolution, right? But my question is to you is, I was saying this, bro, for my interest level and the level of popularity and the star power stuff, I think Logan Paul and Seth Rollins can main event night 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think the match is he's that popular. He's been that incredible. And Seth is still a top guy that needs his top spot again. Seth's worked hard to stay relevant in this and everything to the point he's still a huge star and can be seen as an opponent for Roman Reigns. Would you think that that's a possible match that can headline night 1?
I think night 1 will be the Usos versus Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens in the main event.
But how high on the card do you think that? Joe said this should open the show, and I'm like, no, bro, no, this is way.
I'm not saying it should. I'm saying that they.
What do you think?
Have had a habit in the past few years where they open with a title match or they open with a banger.
Rank the WrestleMania matches. in order of strength.
I think that night one will be the stronger night because you put the main event on night two. So I think the opening match on night one will probably be Walter, Sheamus, and Drew in a three-way for the Intercontinental belt. I think that will probably open. And then, so you're going to have Rhea Ripley and Charlotte on one of the nights, but I don't think it will main event. I'm not sure. The thing is that every time someone wins the Rumble, they say that each one has punched their ticket to the main event of WrestleMania. That's what they say. So you're almost under an obligation to let the women headline one of the nights. But I don't think either of the women's matches are going to be strong enough to headline. Like, I don't think Rhea and Charlotte are strong enough to headline. And the rumored matches for Bianca is not strong enough to headline. So yeah, I just think that you might have to go with that tag match. But Logan Paul and Seth Rollins at the moment for me is the biggest match on paper. I'm not interested in Cody.
I agree with that too. I totally agree with that. You know,
I mean, Seth has been your second hottest character over the last 12 months. I'm not talking about the short burst that Sami's had at the moment. Seth's been more consistent on Raw. You know, you can tell as well by the guy hardly ever wins, and he's still, and you don't think about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's normally the sign of how well you're doing.
Who's Logan wrestled since he's been here? He's wrestled the Miz. Who else?
He wrestled
in the Rumble.
He debuted in a tag match with Miz.
Right.
He beat Ray and Dominic.
Right.
And then he wrestled Miz, and then he lost to Roman.
Wrestled Roman, yeah. Bro, and the guy's, his last three appearances, he's arguably, you know, I wouldn't say stole the show, but he's been in the conversation of stealing the show, you know, which is why I think he can main event. Like I said, he's already main evented against Roman Reigns on a pay-per-view. Why can't he main event Why can't he main event one night at WrestleMania? I mean, they look at him as great. Did you see too? Dude, this is how good he's doing, right? He sold his drink. That Prime drink is now the official drink of the UFC. Did you see that?
Dude,
no. How the hell did he pull that off?
This guy's unbelievable.
I had to pay £20 for a can of that drink on the secondary market.
Are you serious?
And Austin won't drink it. Like, it's in my fridge. Like, he won't. It's over there. Like, he won't. He won't drink it. He just wants it. Like, he goes to school, so he's drunk the drink. He doesn't even like it. But then he just goes to school with the Prime bottle, like, refilled with another drink to, like, you know how, you know, you'd have a bottle of drink, like, you know how you'd have like a proper water bottle, like a, you know, refillable water bottle, right? Mm-hmm. Or he uses the Prime bottles as that, like, because he's finished them. And I'm not buying any more because because over here they cost £10 a bottle on a secondary market because no shops have, and the cans.
Wait a minute, that's like the $12, isn't it?
Yeah, and the can's $25. Yeah,
the can is $25 for a can for an energy drink.
Yeah, but it's not the real price. It's what people are selling it for.
Oh, because it's such in demand.
Yeah, you can only get it on eBay and other places. What happens is the off licenses. So the off licenses, we over in the UK we have off licenses, which are little tiny shops that sell alcohol and cigarettes, right?
Right.
They're on like street corners or whatever. So the off licenses are going to the supermarkets at 6 a.m. when the deliveries come in and are buying up all the drinks for £2, and then they put them in their off licenses for £10. That's what they're doing.
Interesting. I want to get back to an interesting comment Sami Zayn made. Did you listen to Sami and I saw some of the sound bites of him and Ariel?
Yeah, about not being the face and being the guy that could just win one.
Well, and I'm just telling you right now, that's why they're not going to have him. That's their Vince Hunter. That's their vision. Like, we can't put this guy on. You know, we can't use this guy to promote WrestleMania because I think what they're thinking is back in the day, it's like, okay, we did that with Daniel Bryan and it was a big moment or thing, but like we didn't really get any big business out of that. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just giving you their mindset because I know guys.
Well, he got injured straight after, but at the same time, pretty soon after Mania, you've got to go to Saudi Arabia, and your champion can't go. So
right.
But listen, I'm not saying make him a champion. I'm saying that, you know, that's the biggest feud you go into. I think people will be disappointed that the Sami thing gets blown off in Montreal, and then we start off with the Cody thing. I think there's going to be a fan base that want to see that as the main event. And Sami's hotter than Cody. Sami's t-shirts and everything will outsell Cody in the next 2 months.
Well, let me tell you something. Let's watch. That's your case. You're you're prognosticating here. Like you're betting that like, oh, this is probably what's going to happen. Let's see what you say after the conclusion of the Elimination Chamber and what they do at the end of that match and what they do with what the post match angle is. And I'll ask you, do you still feel that same way? And I don't know, maybe you might not. You might feel like, wow, that was really great. They did this well. Like saying that them, and maybe they know there's people like you that are thinking the exact same way. And maybe they do have something figured out, because everything they've done with this angle so far has been it's been just short of perfection, pretty much. With the emotions they've got and the acting level of these guys and stuff. So I don't know. It's
but here's
I don't share your vision. I'm fine with Cody. I'm fine with the Elimination Chamber with Sami. I'm fine whatever they spin out of that, which we say, I honestly, I think you probably know, but what the match is going to be. But I think they could have done Sami and Jay versus Solo and Jimmy, and still told that story, because the acting's so good, and these guys are they're just good at the storytelling here.
I was hoping when Jimmy left that he was going to walk back out with The Rock next to him. So,
yeah.
But yeah, I just
let's hit Conan with what we discussed and get his take. Okay, so Billy feels that because Sammy's the hotter guy than Cody, okay, and that he thinks fans are going to be disappointed with not having Sami in WrestleMania main event, and that they're probably going to be disappointed with Sami. Disappointed with Sami wrestling Roman in the Elimination Chamber, basically. And what do you?
Actually, Conan, let me explain it in a different way. So what I was saying was, there's been multiple rumors. There's been rumors about The Rock. There's been rumors about Stone Cold Steve Austin, and Sami Zayn is the hotter act. So at this point in time, if you're Cody, in a lot of people's mind, he's the fourth choice. So not only is the fact that there's somebody hotter than you, and there's two legends that are not doing the show that people prefer, and also I don't like the booking of Cody. I don't like him being number 30. I don't like the promos about his dad and his destiny. I think people are going to get sick of it by WrestleMania. I think everything here is leading to a mixed reaction. That's what I think.
Go ahead. What do you think, Tony?
And so, who's Sami Zayn wrestling in WrestleMania?
Tag title match with Kevin Owens against the Usos.
So he's wrestling.
I think people will be happy with that, because that's part of the storyline. I don't think they'll be upset that Cody's facing Roman, because Cody won the Royal Rumble, right?
Right.
That's what I think.
Yeah. But do you think going in with the fans' fourth choice, it's not Rock, it's not Austin, it's not Sami, is strong enough for WrestleMania? And do you think Cody's promos leading up to the event about his dad and his destiny and the Anoa'i family versus the Rhodes family and all this that he's doing, do you think that's going to carry? Because I don't.
Well, I just think all the writing that's been surrounding Roman Reigns for 2 years has been excellent. Why would it stop now? So I think whoever's writing for Roman's going to write with Cody, and they're going to come up with some good. Cody can talk. I thought and I said this in the WWE review, I thought the promo started off slow with all that stuff that did not really interest me, but it ended up strong, and he had a good delivery, and the people like him. So I don't think that Sami Zayn not being in the main event, because he's going to be in something that's really important, whether he's with Kevin Owens or whether he's with Jey Uso, it's going to be very interesting, and he's been part of that storyline also. So people probably think, okay, he's wrestling now for the tag team titles. Maybe after this is done, he'll go after Roman. Right now,
but
Cody.
The Roman match is going to be first in Montreal.
Yeah, but that's just the first match. That doesn't mean they can't have other matches.
Here's one thing I brought up.
So are you saying that you think Roman can keep the belt at WrestleMania? Is that what you're saying?
Should he keep the belt at WrestleMania?
Do you think? Yeah.
I heard, and I could be wrong, but I heard from somebody that's pretty reliable that one of the reasons that Cody went over there is because they offered him the belt. So it may be already something that's been spoken for. Yeah. If not, I would not mind seeing Sami Zayn winning that title, or even Kevin Owens. They need to make somebody else. He needs to give the rub to somebody else.
Because here was my thing on Bill.
He's mega over.
The thing I'm not disagreeing with Billy on his take, but my thing was bro, I would agree that Cody's interviews and stuff, But bro, the guy's still getting mega pops.
Yeah, I know.
Like I'm listening to the people. It's like there's zero negative reaction. Then my point was, it's like, bro, the reason they're doing so well right now, you have 2 acts going on at the same time, 2 hot acts, which is a very outlier in the wrestling business from the past like 10, 15 years, is having 2 hot guys, going up the ladder at the same time. And like, I don't, maybe the people think that the Sami stuff is hotter, but they're not looking as like, okay, well, that makes Cody cold. Cody's still hot for some reason. And like me and Cody talked about this the other day. It's very weird with Cody Rhodes. They fired the guy. Like he was doing Stardust and stuff, everything and all that and everything. I'm like, what happened? Maybe you have the information right here. It's like, what happened between the time he left for AEW to come back to WWE in a top spot, which I think is kind of weird. You know,
he wasn't fired though. He decided to leave.
Are you sure? I think they just wanted. I thought he was fired, or they just let him go.
No, I'm almost sure he left.
He left.
They let him out of his contract, or they just didn't re-sign him.
No, he asked to leave.
Yeah,
he asked to leave, and they brought him back in a top spot.
Well, because he grew.
Think how weird that is.
Maybe look. One of the things that Randy Orton, our boy Mark Jindrak, Drew McIntyre, that they were accused of being there is they were very young and immature. When you're young, you do immature, and then they came back. They went around. Drew honed his craft, and he came back a more seasoned, professional, mature guy. So did Cody. He went out there and he made a name for himself in Japan, which is not easy. Made a name for himself in Ring of Honor. He made a name for himself in AEW. And probably when they sat down with him, talking to him, they said he's not the same young kid that didn't know what he was doing 10 years ago or whatever, 5 years ago or whatever. And he's a guy that was an executive here. He was cutting good promos. He was getting over. And I'd love to stick it to Tony by taking one of the founders of his company and bringing him over here.
But bring him over here and make him a top guy.
He got over.
Bringing him back.
But he got over.
He did.
So they weren't wrong.
His release.
What did you hear?
If they would have brought him back, if they would have brought him back and pushed him and he failed, then it would have been a dumb move. But he got over.
How did he convince him to bring him back if he put the title on him?
Well, they haven't put the title on him yet.
But that's a story I'd like to do. I would love to hear be a fly in the wall when they had the conversation for him coming back, and why Cody Rhodes, of all people, that they had no interest in everything, is now main event in WrestleMania against Roman Reigns, which I think is great for him.
What do you think?
He's done a great job, but it's like I'm weird to think that the type of mindset that Vince McMahon and that old school Carney type attitude they've had there. This is a weird spot to think that they brought this guy back and put him. I don't know. I
think they obviously made a lot of concessions, and he got what he wanted in the contract because a few things. One, they brought him in with his AEW gimmick and music.
The concessions was my whole thing. It's like I'd love to be a fly in the wall because this. Yeah. It doesn't.
But
Cody Rhodes.
I think he had the power. You know what I mean?
All right, well, that's been our.
Wait. But what do you think, Billy? Before we get off.
I just want to say one more thing after that. But
But why do you think Disco's asking the question? Why do you think that they picked? Why they gave Rhodes another chance when before they saw nothing in him? And I gave my reason. What is your? What do you?
It made him a top guy.
Yeah.
My understanding is that over the last year, but while he was there, they saw him as a star that could cross over. His in-ring work is strong. They wanted that version of the Cody Rhodes character. They wanted the person who had a reality TV show, which grabbed WWE's attention. And it's weird because that shouldn't be relevant, but it was something that changed things in terms of seeing him as being this crossover star, not in the ring, not with the promos. It was just a case of how we can put this face out into the public. And it was a good fit for WWE, which I don't know why they didn't see it before because his face didn't change.
Because you're right. Because the girls loved, like, I heard there was a thing like the girls voted, and they voted him like one of the top 2 best looking guys in the company back when he was there. So it's like one of those. So he's a good looking guy. He speaks well. And he does TV well. Does TV interviews well with stuff. And so I think that's okay. And I think they think a guy like Theory same way. This guy checks all the boxes. Looks like $1 million. Can talk. Can do all the. So I'm. Maybe. And I think they look at Sami Zayn as like, okay, this guy can do the interviews, but he doesn't check the eye test box. Like when people are turning on Jimmy Kimmel and they see Sami Zayn, it's like, okay, the wrestling fan.
Yeah, but Sami Zayn is like Chris Farley. He's entertaining. You don't have to be good looking.
Yeah, but look at the guys they've had on that done that before. You had The Rock, Cena. You know, bro, when these
How
guys
about
go on
Foley?
TV, they're larger than life. Well,
How about
he's still
Foley? He
larger
was
than
the-
life, though. But he was still larger than life.
Well, right now, Sami
Sami's not a
Zayn
big guy.
but right now to the fans, Sammy's
To
they
the
love the
fans.
guy.
Yeah,
I
They love
agree
him.
with you.
He's like
but I'm
Punk,
talking about
he's like Punk or
marketing
Brian
out-
was in their.
I'm
in their,
talking
you know.
about marketing outside the wrestling bubble. You
Right.
throw the guy outside the wrestling bubble, and the person that does that
Bro,
maybe their kids
how
just
many
started watching
Hollywood
wrestling.
stars don't look like Hollywood stars? There's quite a few. And he's just a guy that you could
Sami
send
Zayn looks exactly like Seth Rogen. Have you noticed?
He does. He
Literally,
looks-
yeah.
he does.
And you could send him, and you could send Sammy on Jimmy Kimmel or any of those Corden or any of those shows, and he'll be funny. He'll be entertaining. He won't sound like a dumbass. You know what I'm saying?
We got to
I don't
run in.
wanna-
Conan, you got to run in.
Yeah, two of them.
Yeah,
Conan, I just want to repeat a point because I want to get your take because you weren't here for it. So I'm of the belief that the best year of Roman could be ahead if he keeps the belt. Just simply because I think for the last 2 years he's a heel, right?
Right.
But the Bloodline T-shirt is the number one selling T-shirt.
Right.
When he's on, the ratings go up. That can continue on. But I feel that everybody loves Roman Reigns, right? Every guy who watches the show probably wants to be Roman Reigns.
Right.
Now, with this angle and how hot it was and how well done it was, I feel now we've made a crossover where finally the first opponent being Sami Zayn, more people are going to want him to lose than win. I think it's the first time.
Right.
And then it could be the same case for Cody. And if he manages to survive Sami Zayn and Cody Rhodes, then you have a whole load of other opponents that I feel for the next year there is an emotional attachment to. I believe there's an emotional attachment to Seth Rollins getting another title shot. I believe there's an emotional attachment for Randy Orton making his big comeback and getting a title match against Roman Reigns and failing to beat him. I feel there's a lot of emotional storylines that can be done over the next year where people really want Roman Reigns to lose, as opposed to the last 2 years where people have been very much 50-50 and they don't mind if he wins because he's so cool. I think when they started chanting "you Roman," I think we've now crossed over into the next chapter, maybe the last chapter, but I think the next chapter he could have his best, most emotional feuds and title matches for the next 12 months if they give it another year.
Well, you do have a point, but I don't think that you need a belt to get over an emotional storyline. And I think he's had it long enough, and you need to give the rub to somebody else and make somebody else. You know, you need to throw another person in there. And he can get it back later, and he can still do emotional storylines with Seth Rollins and whoever. And he's got really good heat on Sami Zayn right now. So I would take it off him now and get somebody else over.
But you don't think there's anything that what's adding to it is when it goes 800, 900 days, 1,000 days.
Yeah. Oh, I said you have a point. I mean, but you're not wrong. But I think it's time to do it right now. To me.
For me, I find it very underwhelming looking at this show, say in the middle of May, Roman Reigns is taking his holiday and he's not going to come back till SummerSlam. And our champion is Cody Rhodes and there's no bloodline on television. That to me seems like a very underwhelming.
The Usos are still there and Psycho Sokola or whatever is still there, you know. And if they were to sign Fatu, that'd be another guy. They still got 3 guys there. You know, the Usos are pretty hot.
Those guys are telling us you still got good episodes.
I don't think Sokola's done a job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's been our wrestling discussion. Let's get to sports because I got a time constraint here.
All right.